Welcome back to the deep dive. It is so good to be with you again.
It really is.
And of course, with my co-host, who always helps us break down these big ideas. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing great, but I think we're all feeling that the week just sort of flew by,
Oh,
right? It
absolutely.
was full of unexpected things, a lot of decisions, a lot of hustle. It just feels like every day is a bit of a marathon now.
A marathon, yes. I think we all hit those weeks where you feel like you're just running to stay in the same place.
Exactly.
And that feeling, that constant mental pressure, it actually brings us straight to our topic today because when life gets full and complicated, the first thing to go is usually the time we set for our own goals.
Yeah, it is the perfect launch pad for what we are diving into.
Mm.
We looked at a huge stack of sources, including some really great advice for people learning new skills like English or fitness or really any goal.
Hmm.
And across all of that research, one massive fundamental question just kept popping up.
Okay, let's hear it. What's the big question that kept grabbing your attention?
The question is, what is the one thing that truly makes or breaks your success in any area? What's that reliable engine that keeps you going long term?
Ooh, I think. I think our listeners, and probably you and I, we know the word already. And it's the one that makes everyone kind of groan a little bit. It sounds so heavy.
It does. But we are here to make it light. The answer is self-discipline.
There it is.
That's the foundation.
Yes.
It's the engine. Because let's be honest, motivation, that amazing burst of energy that makes you start something new, motivation is like sunshine.
Yes, that's such a good picture. Motivation is sunshine.
It's beautiful, it feels amazing, but it comes and goes.
Yeah.
It's totally unpredictable.
You can't rely on sunshine every single day, especially if you live somewhere like Seattle. But discipline, that's what keeps the momentum going, even when that motivation completely fades away.
Precisely. And if we look at the common struggle, we all share it. Think about it for yourself listening right now. You set this enormous goal like, I will study English for 2 hours a day, starting now.
Mm-hmm. Or, I will run 5 miles tomorrow, no excuses.
And then the sun doesn't shine. Life happens. You had a terrible night's sleep, or work was super stressful, or a friend called you with a problem. Suddenly that huge 2-hour block just feels impossible.
It feels like a mountain you can't climb.
We all have those moments. You really want to exercise or get started on that big project, but those goals always seem to clash with, I don't know, your phone, or maybe your favorite Netflix binge session.
Oh, the Netflix battle, it's a real thing.
It's not that you don't want the goal, you hate the friction of starting.
Mm-hmm. It feels like a real battle, doesn't it? I'll start really strong, usually on a Monday, but then I lose the rhythm by, Wednesday. I can't seem to keep that initial energy going.
Ah, yes. And what do you say to yourself when you lose the rhythm? You start thinking, I'm just too busy today. I'll start tomorrow.
Every time.
That is the classic, very famous phrase, the I'll start tomorrow syndrome.
I like that phrase, the I'll start tomorrow syndrome.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
But without discipline, we just end up procrastinating, and we lose sight of the amazing goals we set for ourselves.
And that's a huge point. We lose momentum, and then we lose confidence in ourselves. So our mission today is to break down this big, heavy idea of self-discipline. We want to show you, based on all these sources, how to build it, not through massive willpower, but through smart systems.
Little tricks.
And crucially, how to stay consistent without getting completely overwhelmed or feeling that awful burnout.
Yeah, we're going to give you practical, actionable tools, 5 really powerful techniques that you can apply right now, today, to your English learning, your fitness, or, hey, even just organizing your desk. These are shortcuts that kind of bypass the need for massive willpower.
Okay, but before we dive deep into those techniques, could you do us a quick, gentle favor?
Yes, please. If you're enjoying this deep dive, if this idea of building discipline without the burnout sounds like something you need, just take 1 second to hit that subscribe button or give us a like wherever you're listening.
It really does help us bring more great content to you.
And if you know that one friend, we all have one,
I have that friend.
who's always struggling with the I'll start tomorrow syndrome, or maybe they always say they have no time to study, why don't you share this deep dive with them?
It might be that little nudge, that little 5-minute plan they need to hear today.
Yes, send them the link. Now let's stop talking about tomorrow and start talking about today.
Okay, let's start with a really fundamental idea that came up again and again in the sources. When we talked about self-discipline, we're not talking about punishing ourselves or forcing ourselves to do things we hate for hours.
No, not at all.
We're talking about creating a reliable foundation that actually supports our dreams.
Exactly. And the sources pointed out a huge danger that trips up almost everyone, relying only on the final big goal itself, without building a system to get there.
Ah, okay.
You might set a massive goal, like, I want to be fluent in English in 6 months, or I want to pass the C1 exam next year. Huge goals.
And then what happens when you stare at that giant goal every day?
You start strong, right?
Yeah.
Week 1 is amazing, full of motivation. But without a specific, tiny daily action plan system, you get discouraged so quickly when the results aren't immediate. The gap between where you are today and that C1 exam, it feels like a canyon. It feels like way too much work. And the mental effort to even think about it just drains you.
That brings us to a metaphor that really, really stuck with me from the research. Willpower is like a muscle.
Oh, this is so important.
And it's a muscle that gets completely exhausted as the day goes on.
Yes. If you try to lift the heaviest weight right away, you'll injure yourself and give up.
Yeah.
But the science on willpower is even more specific. There's a lot of research into something called decision fatigue.
Decision fatigue. That's the feeling I have every night around 7 p.m.
Exactly. We have this finite pool of mental energy, that willpower muscle, and we spend little units of it every single time we make a decision, even the tiny ones.
Like what to wear or which email to answer first.
What to have for lunch, whether to check social media right now or not. All of those little things drain the battery.
So by the time you finally sit down at the end of a long day, planning to practice English or start that project, your willpower muscle is just spent. You have 0 units left to resist the comfortable choice, which is usually Netflix or scrolling.
I can absolutely vouch for that. I use up all my willpower units in meetings and emails. By the time the evening hits, my willpower to resist chocolate it's completely gone, even though I know I shouldn't eat it.
So if willpower fades, we just can't rely on it alone. The breakthrough from the sources is that we have to shift our focus away from big outcomes and onto reliable systems, those small, automatic daily actions.
Right. Systems require very little willpower to do because they're predictable. Willpower is the total opposite. It's completely unpredictable.
Consistency beats intensity every single time.
Love that.
And that commitment to small systems brings us perfectly to our first practical tip.
Okay, this first one is beautiful because it's a tiny action that gets massive results over time. We're calling it the tiny plan.
Or the 5-minute rule.
Yeah, the famous 5-minute rule. The sources all emphasize that the biggest barrier to success isn't your ability. It's the huge psychological barrier of just starting.
That feeling of friction, right? The friction of getting your books out, opening the app, just getting into the mindset, that takes the most energy.
I had such a painful personal experience with this. Every January 1st, I would set these huge resolutions. I will work out for 1 full hour every single day, or I will only eat perfectly healthy organic food.
And what happened by the middle of January? I think I can guess.
By mid-January, I was completely overwhelmed, burned out. The expectation was so impossible that when I missed just one day, I was traveling or I was sick, I instantly thought, well, the goal is ruined now. I failed. And I just gave up completely.
That's so frustrating. You feel like you failed so quickly, and that shame just makes you stop trying altogether.
Totally. The goal was just too big. The action here, the tiny plan, is to commit to just 5 minutes of the habit. Just 5. If you're learning English, you commit to 5 minutes of practice. That's it.
We found that the sources often mention the philosophy of atomic habits, which talks about the 2-minute rule.
Yeah, that's a great book.
The idea is to make any new habit feel like it takes less than 2 minutes. We're adapting that a little to a 5-minute rule for a more focused practice session.
The point is to shrink the habit down until it requires 0 willpower to start. I mean, it should feel ridiculous to say no to it.
So let's get specific for our English learners. What does a 5-minute practice session actually look like?
Okay, it could be reading just 1 paragraph of a news article online. It could be listening to just 2 minutes of this deep dive segment during your coffee break. Or, even simpler, translating just 5 social media comments you see.
Or just using a flashcard app to memorize 1 new word and its definition. The goal isn't to master anything in those 5 minutes. The goal is simply to show up.
And this is where the genius of it comes in. You might only plan for 5 minutes, but that small effort done consistently, it builds that all-important momentum. You're training your brain that this activity is easy, it's not threatening, it's quick. And once you start, you often find yourself just naturally flowing into 10 or 15 minutes of practice.
Consistency, not intensity, is what builds long-term success. 5 minutes a day, every single day, is so much better than trying to study for 3 hours once a week and then crashing into burnout.
Right.
You avoid that high cost of decision fatigue.
I love that. And the commitment to just showing up connects perfectly to our second tip, which is all about moving beyond feelings and building a predictable path. We call this routine over motivation.
Or the success path. I like that name.
The success path.
We already know that willpower fades and motivation is unreliable, so we need something that requires no emotional input. And a system is that reliable path. It's just a series of small daily actions that automatically move you toward your goal.
We've definitely made the mistake of focusing only on the outcome, the big goal. Goals create so much pressure and stress. Systems create progress and peace of mind.
Now, when we talk about systems, we're often talking about something called habit stacking. This is a really powerful technique. It just means attaching a new desired habit to an existing habit you already do automatically.
Oh, okay. So instead of saying, I have to practice English today, you kind of restructure it. You say, after I drink my morning coffee, I will practice English for 5 minutes.
Exactly. Or after I check my email, I will review 1 page of vocabulary.
You're using an established trigger, the coffee, the email, to make the new task automatic. You remove the need to decide when to do it. The decision is already made. You just follow the routine.
Let's give our listener a clear, detailed system for English learning. So instead of focusing on the goal of getting a high test score next year, you focus on the system.
Okay, so the system could be, every evening before I charge my phone, I will read 1 chapter of my English novel.
Perfect. Or, during my daily commute, I will listen to 15 minutes of an English language deep dive.
By making these small, consistent habits a part of your daily routine, they stop feeling like work. They just become something you do, like brushing your teeth or putting on your shoes. It becomes effortless because it's attached to something else.
And this is the magic. Once your system is really in place, it becomes automatic. You don't have to hope you feel motivated. You just follow the routine no matter how small it is. You protect your mental energy from that decision fatigue.
And once that system is in place and it becomes automatic, we say it becomes second nature.
Mm-hmm.
It means the skill is practiced so much, it requires no conscious thought. That's the ultimate achievement of self-discipline.
And speaking of making things easy and attractive, let's move to tip number 3. This one is probably the most fun and immediately satisfying of all the tips we found. We call this one self-bribery.
Yes, self-bribery.
Mm.
If you make a habit attractive and fun, sticking with it becomes so much easier.
Mm.
We often think discipline means suffering, but that's completely wrong. And I can totally vouch for this tip from my own life.
Oh, tell us the story. How did you cleverly bribe yourself, and what does the psychology say about why this actually works?
Well, I used to absolutely dread exercising, especially stretching. To me, it felt like this horrible, boring chore.
I can relate to that.
But then I started strategically pairing it with enjoyable things.
Yeah.
So I only allowed myself to listen to my favorite comedy podcast or watch a really funny TV show while I was stretching on the floor or walking on the treadmill.
So you linked the necessary, less fun task, the stretching, with the desirable immediate reward, the funny show. That's so smart because it plays right into how our brains are wired.
Exactly. Suddenly, stretching wasn't just a chore. It was my only chance to catch up on that hilarious show or listen to that new album I loved. My brain started looking forward to it.
The sources explain this powerful tool as positive reinforcement. Your brain loves immediate rewards. When you complete a difficult task and immediately reward yourself, your brain releases dopamine, which strengthens that habit loop over time.
And the key is that the reward has to be immediate, not delayed. If you promise yourself a new book in 2 months for studying every day, that's too far away to drive your daily behavior. You need that instant little hit of pleasure.
So for English practice, you could pair it with a small treat. Maybe you only allow yourself to play that video game you love after you finish your 5 minutes of translation practice.
Or maybe you enjoy that cup of fancy coffee only after you've reviewed your new vocabulary list.
Or for those reading a long, difficult English book, you could allow yourself to stop and watch the movie trailer after completing 3 chapters. That's a highly attractive, immediate reward.
It just reassures you that discipline doesn't have to be a boring task. Who knew being disciplined could involve immediate snacks and TV? Make it attractive, and you're so much more likely to stick to your goals.
Right. Self-discipline doesn't mean self-punishment. It means being smart with yourself.
Self-smartness.
Okay, let's move on to tip number 4, which is all about removing that friction we talked about earlier. We call this one design the battleground.
Ooh, I like that phrase. It sounds like military strategy. And it kind of is. It's about being proactive with your environment.
It is strategy. The sources were very clear on this. Your environment, both physical and digital, can either help or seriously hurt your discipline. If you set yourself up for disaster, your tired willpower muscle will just surrender immediately.
I can absolutely vouch for that too. If my desk is cluttered, if my phone is face up next to me, or if the potato chips are sitting right next to my laptop, my focus lasts for about 2 minutes before I'm distracted.
It's the classic setup for disaster, right? If your environment doesn't actively support your goals, it's way too easy to give in to that impulse when your willpower is low.
So how do we design the battleground for success? The philosophy is really simple. You have to make the desired action easy and the undesired action hard.
Right. Reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for bad habits.
Let's look at the physical environment first. For English learning, this means making your study materials visible and accessible.
If you're trying to read more in English, leave the book on your pillow. If you use flashcards, leave them on the kitchen table where you eat breakfast. The principle is out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. If your English book is hiding under the couch, you're not going to practice. If it's right there, it's a gentle reminder that takes zero mental energy to find.
I do this for fitness. I keep my workout clothes right by my bed and my gym bag near the door. That way, I'm reminded to exercise first thing in the morning before my willpower has a chance to fade. It removes the decision of, ugh, where are my shorts?
But we also have to talk about the digital environment. This is where most of our willpower gets drained. We can call this digital friction.
Ah, yes. The phone. The ultimate distraction factory. How do we increase friction for the phone?
You need to put temptation away. Move the phone into another room while you're studying, or download one of those apps that temporarily blocks distracting websites for the 5 minutes you committed to studying. Make procrastination difficult.
The fewer choices your brain has to make, the more mental energy you save for actual learning.
You can also unsubscribe from distracting email newsletters. Every time you delete an email without opening it, you spend a little bit of that willpower. By removing the source, you protect your energy.
And we should remember that the battleground includes people, too. Surround yourself with supportive people who cheer on your goals, not the ones who are always encouraging you to skip practice to go do something else.
Yes. Unless, of course, your friends are distracting you with cake when you're trying to be disciplined.
Well, that's a story for another deep dive.
Right. Okay, moving on to our final key tip, which is all about leveraging the power of other people.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate way to stay consistent when your motivation is gone. The accountability buddy.
Social support is absolutely key to boosting self-discipline. We're human, we don't like to disappoint other people, and we crave that social connection.
It's so true. Research shows it's much harder to skip a workout or skip your English study session if someone else is expecting you to be there or just expecting you to report back on your progress.
This brings up a really interesting difference between passive accountability and active accountability.
Okay, what's that?
Passive accountability is like tracking your goals in a private notebook or an app. It helps, but it's really easy to cheat yourself.
Yeah, no one knows.
Active accountability is sharing your goals with a real human being who is going to check in with you. And the sources strongly recommend active human accountability for long-term success.
I know that when I have a workout buddy or a friend checking in on my progress, I'm way more likely to stay on track. Even if I don't feel motivated, I don't want to be the one to text my buddy and say, "Sorry, I'm skipping today."
This principle works perfectly for English learners. Find a language partner to practice with for just 10 minutes twice a week, or join a study group where you check in on each other's progress.
Or even simpler, just find a friend who checks in on your 5-minute daily practice every few days. A quick text. Did you do your 5 minutes?
The accountability buddy is like a gentle push when you need it, but without the judgment. They're supportive, not critical. They just make it harder to quit because you have an external commitment.
It makes a massive difference, especially on those days when you're running low on those willpower units.
Yeah.
You're so much more likely to stick to your routine if you know someone else is depending on you, or at least curious about how you're doing.
You move from self-discipline to shared discipline.
Exactly. It keeps you honest and consistent. Whether it's sharing your 5 minutes of daily practice with a friend or practicing vocabulary over a video call, discipline just thrives with social support.
Okay, now that we've covered these 5 really powerful practical tips and gone into why they work, we need to take a moment for our vocabulary corner.
Yes, these are words and phrases we use throughout this deep dive that will help you sound even more natural when you talk about these topics in English.
Absolutely. They'll help you talk about habits, goals, and motivation in a very natural way. We'll just break them down simply one by one with some clear examples.
Grab a pen or just listen close. The first word we used a lot was syndrome.
A syndrome is a group of characteristics or symptoms that happen together. We usually use it when talking about negative habits or conditions.
For example, the I'll start tomorrow syndrome is common, but it severely prevents real progress.
Next up, a really important word for progress: momentum.
Momentum is that force or speed of movement, the energy that keeps things going once they're already in motion. It's that feeling you get when a habit starts rolling forward on its own.
Example: starting small helps you build the momentum needed to finish a large project, like learning a new language.
We also talked about the danger of pushing too hard, which leads to burnout.
Burnout is that extreme physical or mental exhaustion that comes from overwork, especially when you try to do too much too soon.
For example, trying to study English for 3 hours straight every day caused serious burnout by the second week.
Next, the solution to relying on motivation: systems.
Systems are simply a set of small actions or rules that you follow regularly, often attached to an existing routine, like with habit stacking.
For example, focusing on my morning routine system is much more reliable than just relying on massive goals.
And when a system works really well, the action becomes second nature.
Second nature means a skill or action has been practiced so much that it becomes completely automatic and effortless, like driving a car or speaking your native language.
Example, now that I follow the system, practicing English every morning is second nature.
I use this next phrase to confirm your advice, to show that I trust it. Vouch for.
To vouch for something means to confirm that it's true or reliable or good based on your own personal experience.
For example, I can totally vouch for that tiny plan tip. It really worked for me and saved me from procrastination.
And that thing we all need to conserve, which is like a muscle that gets tired: willpower.
Willpower is the control your mind uses to overcome its impulses or temporary feelings. It's the ability to choose the long-term goal over the immediate reward.
For example, because of decision fatigue, by the evening, my willpower to avoid snacks is completely gone.
And finally, the purpose of having a study partner: accountability.
Accountability is just the state of being responsible for your actions, usually to another person or a group. It creates that gentle external pressure to follow through.
For example, having an accountability buddy keeps me honest about my study time, even when I feel lazy.
That was a great review of the most powerful phrases from today. Now, we want you to take these ideas and apply them immediately. Don't let that "I'll start tomorrow" syndrome kick in.
Yes, let's create some tiny actionable steps for today.
Don't try to do all 5 tips. That will cause burnout. Remember, we are starting incredibly small. Just pick one of the tips we shared and do one tiny action right now, today.
Okay, here are 3 suggestions. Pick the one that feels easiest for you right now. First, identify your peak energy time, maybe it's early morning or right after lunch, and schedule a non-negotiable 5-minute English session then. It's so small you can't skip it.
Or, suggestion number 2, use habit stacking to implement routine over motivation. Decide right now to listen to English music or a podcast immediately after you finish washing the dishes tonight. Attach the new habit to the old one.
And suggestion number 3, design your battleground. Move one distraction, that could be your phone, a bag of chips, a distracting app. Move it away from your study area right now. Increase the friction for the bad habit immediately.
Just pick one, just one tiny action. Don't try to do all 5 tips today. Remember, consistency over intensity. We're building a system, not a burst of motivation.
So let's quickly recap all 5 amazing tips that are going to help you beat the "I'll start tomorrow" syndrome and protect your valuable willpower.
Okay, number 1, the tiny plans start incredibly small, just 5 minutes of practice to get over that barrier of starting.
Number 2, routine over motivation. Focus on setting up a system using habit stacking, your success path, so the actions become second nature and don't require willpower.
Number 3, self-bribery. Make your disciplined habits really attractive by pairing them with an immediate, enjoyable reward.
Number 4, design the battleground. Make your environment work for you by making study materials visible and distractions hidden, reducing that friction.
And finally, number 5, the accountability buddy. Use that active social support to give you a gentle external push, making it harder to quit or skip a session.
You know, when we talk about discipline, sometimes it can feel like a chore. But remember this crucial insight. The goal of discipline isn't to make you miserable. It's to give you ultimate freedom.
Yes, freedom from the constant stress of feeling like you should be doing something but you just can't start. Discipline actually simplifies your life by removing choices and automating your progress.
You didn't waste your time tuning in today, you invested it. And now you have the tools to make those investments pay off every single day, 5 minutes at a time.
So we have a final question for you, our amazing listener, to leave in the comments. What small, attractive habit are you going to start today to build your discipline? Which tiny plan are you implementing right now?
Tell us. We love hearing about your systems and your success paths. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. And remember to be kind to yourself, especially on those days when motivation is low.
Keep learning, keep improving, and start that 5-minute plan right now. Bye, everyone.